guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Tania Bright. I am a student astrologer and a tarot reader. And in today's video, we are going to be doing your May 2020 month ahead readings, and we're also going to be talking a little bit about some astrological events going on in the month of May. If you've already seen this part of the video, go ahead and fast forward to your tarot reading. I will be linking a timestamp down below or on the screen somewhere in case you want to fast forward to it. My tarot readings are always timeless, and this one is going to resonate with your sun, moon, rising, or Venus. A lot of you ask, which placement do I watch for? Watch for all 4 placements, and whatever readings resonates, will resonate, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So quick disclaimer before I get into the astrology portion, I am still a student when it comes into astrology. I am in no way, shape, or form trying to teach. I am simply just going to mention and broadly talk about these events just so you know what's going on this month, and if you want to look further into it, then you can. But for month ahead readings, I feel like it's really important that we talk about what is going on astrologically. So by the middle of May, we are going to have 4 planets going retrograde. We already have Pluto going retrograde. That started April 24th. And then the next planet to go retrograde, I believe, is Saturn. Let me double check. Okay, and then the next planet we're going to have retrograde is Saturn. It's going retrograde in Capricorn on May 11th. Soon after that, we're going to have Venus going retrograde in Gemini May 13th. And then literally the next day, we're going to have Jupiter going retrograde in Capricorn May 14th. So lots of retrogrades going on. We also have the super moon on the 7th in Scorpio, and that is going to be a big, intense energy. So what retrogrades do is it forces us to look inward. Retrogrades are a period of reflection, perfecting things, reviewing things. So I feel like this month is really going to be about solidifying ourselves and starting to sort of settle into our own energies. I feel like, April and all of the previous months, we were going through purges, we were going through transformations, we were losing a lot, gaining a lot. We were going through major pivot points. And now I think it's kind of time to reflect on everything we've gone through, everything we've learned. I feel like we're coming into Taurus season with more of a knowing, an inner knowing, knowing what we want, knowing what we don't want, knowing what we have, knowing what we don't have. And we didn't have that pleasure in April or any of the previous months. So that's what kind of gives this season a step up, is we've learned so much. So let's talk about the Venus in Gemini retrograde. That one is super notorious because it's also being squared it is also being squared Neptune in Pisces. So then you have Venus, the planet of values, beauty, creation. It's about romance, pleasure, partnerships, art. And that energy is being flavored by Gemini. Gemini is also very social and playful. It's the planet of intellectual, logical thinking. It's a planet of communication, both written, verbal, however we want to communicate. It's also the sign of duality. It's the sign of socials. It kind of rules social media along with Aquarius. I like to say Gemini rules it too as well. So what I think this combination of energies is going to do is with Gemini here, it's going to allow us to communicate, to vocalize what we're thinking and feeling, which we struggled with as a collective. I feel like a lot of us were struggling with throat chakra, and this Gemini energy really comes in and uplifts that struggle. So I feel like a lot of us are going to, since Venus is going retrograde, we're going to be having honest internal conversations with ourselves about what we truly do value, how we look at ourselves and how much we value ourselves and other people, and kind of what is the pecking order, what is the list of importance, in terms of the people around us, the materials we have, ourselves. I feel like we're really going to start to file that and categorize that and figure out what's important to us and what's not. Venus also rules desires, so I feel like a lot of us are going to uncover what it is that we truly desire out of life, and we're going to have sort of an honest conversation with ourselves about whether or not we are on track to getting that, to making that happen? You know, are we actually doing what we love, or are we, you know, doing something because of the money? Are we doing something because of, you know, material gains? Which I'm noticing with the energy, money and the value of it is kind of like decreasing a little. Like, you know, we're not spending as much as we used to because we're not going out anymore. We're starting to save a lot more. Like, I feel like money is starting to become less of like a luxury thing, because to some extent with quarantine, a lot of like our luxuries, especially when going out, you know, got taken away from us. So I feel like the value of money, you know, we were sort of, and I was talking about this in my previous video, we were in a position where we wanted more and more and more, and ever since quarantine happened, we're kind of like just okay with what we need. And I feel like that still rings true throughout the month of May. And for most of May, we are going to be in Taurus season, and Taurus also deals with finances and material gains and losses. So I still see some of us going to struggle with that. I still see some of us are going to, you know, be dealing with money loss, or just changing maybe how we make our money. I can see that being a theme throughout the month of May. Now, Venus is also the planet of creativity, and Gemini is the planet of, Gemini is the sign of, you know, handiwork, doing things with our hands. It's also a creative energy as well. It's highly, highly creative, very, very intelligent. So I feel like a lot of us are going to get crafty, get smart about our resources, get creative about, you know, our money, and really learning how to use that to its utmost value. Maybe even get creative on ways to bring in more income. I see a lot of us maybe even diving into hobbies more, because Gemini rules hobbies. So I see a lot of us diving into our hobbies and learning how to profit off them, learning how to make money off them. So I see, you know, artists, you know, learning how to sell their art, promote their art, you know, getting smart when it comes to that, because Gemini is also a salesman. It's salesman energy. Like, Gemini knows how to talk you into whatever it wants. So another aspect that definitely plays into like sort of money and finances is the Jupiter and Pluto conjunction. We have Jupiter, which rules expansion, but we have Pluto, which rules debt. So when you put those combinations together, we can kind of see like maybe global debts, or people sort of like getting in trouble for their debts. I would handle your financial situation as much as possible this month. I would really try to knock those out. Now, another thing I think is super interesting is there's sort of like this spiritual aspect to the Jupiter and Pluto conjunction, because Jupiter rules, you know, higher knowledge, higher wisdom, gurus, teachers, spirituality, and we have Pluto, which is wanting to know more, wanting to dig deeper. So I see there is a spiritual awakening sort of going on with the collective. I see a lot more people getting into tarot and astrology. And I also feel like because quarantine happened and our world sort of it shook up a bit, and it drastically changed so fast, people turned to spirituality for answers, because there really is an energy of like power to the people here. We have like a lot of Gemini and Aquarius energy going on here, and like I said, those signs rule the internet. So I feel that there's a lot of power here with the internet. There's a lot of power here when you make a YouTube video or you post a tarot card reading or whatever. You reach a lot of people, you influence a lot of people. And I feel like if you are going to be an influencer or a guru or a teacher or astrologer, tarot reader, whatever you want to call yourself, if you're going to be doing that, I feel like it's important that we spread a message that is optimistic. I feel like it's important that we spread the message of, you know, raising the like vibrational energy here as a collective. There's a YouTuber who, I think her name's like Pam Gregory or something like that. I'll leave her YouTube link down below, but she has a book where she talks about how you can actually measure someone's thoughts. All right, so that's what like the idea of manifestation is that, you know, what we are internalizing and thinking, you know, we can actually project out. Now with quarantine, we have a lot of us sort of like being, you know, in close like proximity to a lot of other people, so we're very much affected by their energy and they're very much affected by ours. So I feel like it's really important that we're having like a sense of awareness of what we are projecting out. Be aware of the energies you put out, and so that way we can work better as a collective and we can try to raise ourselves as a collective, because there is also this energy of like a blank canvas here, and that energy has been there since the beginning of the year when we had all of those time resets. We're sort of like in a position right now where we're creating like a whole new like era almost, you know what I mean? We have a lot of like social structures and government structures crashing right now, and when something crashes, you know, we have to rebuild. Tower moment in tarot, when it crashes, you got to rebuild a stronger, firmer foundation. So I almost feel like the collective is going through like their own major tower moment. I see 2020 as like this giant tower moment, but I'm not gonna get too into that, okay? I'm gonna keep it very broad and general, because then this video would be hours long. Alright, so let's talk about the supermoon in Scorpio. So full moons and supermoons, they have this energy of like endings, completion, because it's the moon cycle completing itself. So it's this energy of, you know, closing those doors, laying things to rest, but it can also have the energy of like shedding light on situations we might not know about, because the moon sheds light on darkness. So when we have a supermoon, it means that the moon is closer to Earth in proximity and it becomes really big, and that means its energy can be felt more, its energy is a lot more amplified. But when we have a supermoon in a water sign, more specifically Scorpio, that energy is extra emotional and intense, because Scorpio is a sign of intensity. So with this supermoon, I see a lot of secrets sort of coming up to surface, because Scorpio rules like hidden areas of life. So this, you know, this might not have to be like a scandalous secret, but it could be like secrets within the self, parts of ourselves that we didn't really know, or parts of ourselves that were kind of like taboo, you know, we start to recognize with this supermoon energy. Now supermoons also have to be about release, so whatever surfaces, we need to let go, all right? Because then we start the new moon cycle, and we want to be starting fresh. We want to handle the problems that actually come to light during the supermoon. I see issues of trust here as well, because Scorpio energy always struggles with trust and loyalty and betrayal. Those are major themes for Scorpio energy. So I see a lot of us sort of dealing with who we trust and who trusts us, and you know, can I rely on this person? Can I not rely on this person? Is this person loyal to me? Am I loyal to them? I can see us having that conversation during the supermoon. Now, another thing that Pam Gregory talks about is how Scorpio's ancient ruler is Mars, okay? So Scorpio energy does not flinch. It's very similar to Aries energy, where it's like, I need to make this happen. The thing that the supermoon might give us is hyper focus, because Scorpio has the ability to literally focus all of its energy on its goal and be so diligent and so fixated on its goal that it will not give up, it will not release until it has completed it. So I feel like a lot of us are going to have drive. A lot of us are going to, you know, want to make a plan, want to get things done, and I really love that, you know, as it goes hand in hand with like people starting up new businesses and people diving into their creative hobbies. So I kind of like that energy for the month of May. So the last thing I also want to talk about is Venus being squared Neptune in Pisces. So it's interesting because it's also in Gemini. Gemini is the energy of logical thinking, of knowing, and then we have it squared Neptune, which is and Pisces, which is the energy of like delusion, imagination, the spirit world. Think like 12th house energy, where it's like the part in the brain that's so deep in the subconscious that it's hard to bring it forward. So I feel like with these two energies, we're going to sort of go through this period. It's like where we know, and we understand it, and then we don't know and we don't understand it. And especially when Venus is in retrograde, I feel like we're going to struggle a lot with what is true. I almost see like the Venus energy is like a plane going through a cloud, and it's like when it's, you know, in this cloud and it's especially squared Neptune, it's like clouded energy we can't see, we can't fully understand. It's like I can't see the big picture, and then as soon as it ends and it exits the cloud, then it's like boom, awakening moment, oh, epiphany moment, oh, I finally understand. I see us sort of going back and forth with those energies like throughout the retrograde. I see us sort of like having this understanding, thinking that we get it, and then not freaking getting it at all, and then having epiphanies, and then understanding a little bit more, only to find out the more we know, the less we know type energy. That's kind of what I pick up on. Astrologers like to say this is not the time to make major changes, major decisions, and that's because you don't want to make a decision when you're on a plane in a cloud, you know what I mean? You don't want to make a decision when you don't have all of the information. You don't want to make a decision when you aren't seeing the full bigger picture yet. And of course, that's not to say you can't, you know, make that move, or you can't, you know, make that big change. I think it's just, I think the message here is more about just being cautious and making sure that you are doing any type of research, any type of investigative work needed in order to properly make that decision. So the last theme that I want to mention is the theme of heart chakra. There's this YouTuber that I absolutely adore, and I love to watch his YouTube channel, Esoteric Healing. He did a video about healing throughout May and how we've sort of moved from like heart chakra from throat chakra down to heart chakra, and now the collective is sort of struggling with that. So there could be feelings of like anxieties, sadness, like heavy just feelings in the heart chakra right now. And when the heart chakra is affected, Sky was talking about how our crown chakra, our thoughts also get affected. The two go hand in hand, heart, feelings, and thoughts, right? So I feel what's important here is as our heart and our feelings are going through these waves of ups and downs, that we take care of the heart chakra. We keep our mind strong and leveled. It's really, really important that you do that, otherwise you might get lost in like all of the ups and downs and the chaotic energy that's going on within your feelings. When dealing with, you know, all these emotions, I really recommend capitalizing on all that Gemini energy that we have, especially that Venus energy, sort of like turn that pain into art. Write it out. You can write poetry, write stories, write whatever, but Gemini rules like written communication, so write out how you feel. I also see a lot of us speaking publicly on how we feel, and I see that being very therapeutic, not only to, you know, yourself for releasing it, but also to other people for hearing it. Because Gemini isn't just about talking, it's about listening as well. Talking about things publicly really just brings us together a bit as a collective, and it helps us connect a bit more. I see a huge, just like, how do I say this? Like I'm seeing in my head, like I see a huge like spike almost in internet connections and socializing on the internet, and that being a lot more acceptable, especially because of quarantine. It's kind of the only way we could socialize, but I see that staying true for many years to come after this. Alright, that's kind of all I have to say. Like I said, I wanted to keep it super broad. If you want to dive into any of these events, I will be listing them in the description box down below. Let's go ahead and just jump right into the tarot portion of this video. What's up, Scorpios, and welcome to your tarot reading. So right off the bat, I just want to talk about Scorpio risings in specific. You guys are going to have that Venus transit going on in your 8th house. You have your Gemini in 8th house. So 8th house is the house of like soul connections, debt, transformation, rebirth, sex, actual, you know, shadow side, crime, underworld, termination, spirituality, occult. It's a crazy ass house. So you guys are going to have that Venus retrograde going on there. So I see that there is a lot of energy surrounding Scorpio now. There's a lot of intensity. There's a lot of like I feel like you're going to be working through your power concepts. You know what I mean? How much power am I giving? How much power am I taking? I feel like you guys are going to be working a lot on trust, because 8th house is hidden energy. So I feel like you guys are going to be working on who can I trust, who is hiding from me, who is being honest with me. I see you guys also kind of like furthering whatever it is that you like to study. So if you are studying astrology, if you are studying, you know, if you're studying something in the medical field or whatever, I see you really having a drive and to get more knowledge. I can see a lot of restarts happening for you guys. Restarts could be restarts in career, restarts in relationships or whatever, just because Scorpio rules death and rebirth. I also see you guys working on breaking free from burdens. I feel like Scorpio, especially Scorpio risings, you guys carried with you a lot of burdens. And I feel like you guys are going to be working through freeing yourselves from those burdens this month. And I see you guys really getting in touch with your spiritual side, because 8th house is one of these spiritual houses. All the water signs are just, you know, their home houses are all spiritual. But Scorpio, I see you guys sort of like having an understanding of your spiritual practice, finding out what it is that you truly want to believe in, and sort of like getting to the bottom of that. You know, I think it's kind of like that question of like, do I believe in astrology? Well, let me do the research and find out if I do. It's sort of that energy. I see you guys also kind of like getting tested here. I see the universe almost testing Scorpio's commitment to things. Scorpio is a very committed energy. Of course, it was originally ruled by Mars. Like I was saying in my video, and Mars is diligent. Mars does not quit until it gets what it wants. So, but I see that sort of being tested, kind of like, are you going about this? Do you have this drive for all the right reasons, Scorpio? So I just kind of see that as a couple themes. Let's go ahead and pull some oracle messages. So I am going to be pulling oracle messages, tarot cards for the week to week, confirmation cards, and then I'm going to be pulling a card at the end to see what you get this month as a gift, because Venus likes to gift people. So I just I'm going to pull a tarot card to see what it is that you get gifted with. So these oracle cards are going to tell us what central themes are surrounding you, what energies are surrounding you, what energies you might have to embody, what energies might be hindering you. I love that the intuition card came out for Cancer as well. Let's see what else comes out. Woo! Rest and rejuvenate. I really love that for you guys. Moving on. New beginnings. I told you guys, new beginnings for a lot of you. Disruption, of course. Let's see. So here are your oracles. We have patience and planning, disruption, new beginnings, moving on, third eye. Ooh, beautiful. Rest and rejuvenate with intuition. Scorpio, your intuition's about to be through the roof this month. I see just a lot of you guys kind of like listening to yourselves a lot more, and because of that, you know, you kind of are getting like these, like, kind of, we like to call them on Twitter like downloads from the universe. I see you guys getting a lot of downloads. I love that we have moving on and new beginnings here. I feel like, Scorpio, this is a month of kind of like, how do I say it, solidifying things. So I feel like one thing that's going to get solidified here is, when am I leaving, and where am I moving to? I feel like that is a big thing. That was like a big question in the month of April and previous months. What am I moving on from, and where am I going? I feel like you guys have figured that out, and you are now in that kind of like transition period where you are on that path of leaving and walking towards what's new for you. I see this disruption being what tests you. Remember how I told you intuitively I felt like Scorpio was going to be tested? That's what I think that disruption card is about. Patience and planning. I feel like it's important, Scorpio, that you guys have an idea of like what steps is needed in order to get what it is that you want. You know what I mean? If you're going to start a business or whatever, you know, make sure that you do it in order, step 1, 2, and 3. That's what I really feel like that patience and planning card is I know you guys are diligent, and you guys are very fixed and focused on what you want, but it's kind of like, don't skip steps, Scorpio. This is not the time to skip steps. Rest and rejuvenate. I feel like it's really important that you guys charge. I feel like you guys are going to feel a little bit tired this month, especially since there's going to be kind of like a bunch of retrogrades, and you have that full moon, or sorry, super moon in Scorpio happening. So I feel like you guys are going to feel like emotionally and spiritually worn out a bit, and that's why it's important that you guys rest. I feel like it's really important that the water signs stay freaking hydrated this month. I cannot stress that enough. I see dehydration being a big thing for the water signs. I like that you guys have third eye chakra. It immediately made me think of like the saying, drop the veil. I feel as though there's almost like another spiritual awakening here for Scorpio, and I feel like you guys get that spiritual awakening through the disruption, through being tested. Does that make sense? So that's interesting. Let's go ahead and move into your week to week and see what's going on for Scorpio. Alright, Scorpio, so all of my cards are in the upright position, so if any of them fall in reverse, that is just the way Spirit intended. Alright, I'm going to give it a good shuffle, get it acclimated to your energy. I really love that Magician card that popped out. Just caught my eye. Alright, let's see. Okay, let's see what's going on first week for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. Here are the two. Ooh, look at that. Not surprised. I was talking about exchange of power. Let's see what's going on second week for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. King of Pentacles in reverse. Wow, Cancer also pulled those two cards as well. Alright, I'm going to do the last week, and then we'll talk about this. This is really interesting. Well, that's too much, so put that back. Cool. Right. Bottom deck we have Tower, your card. Alright, let's see. I'm going to just put these guys together. Alrighty, so Scorpio, let's talk about that first week with that Ten of Swords and the Six of Pentacles. I told you guys one of the things you're going to be dealing with is exchanging power. How much power do I take from others, and how much power do I give to others? And Scorpio, you guys kind of struggle with that. I feel like you guys can be a little demanding from other people. I see Scorpio energy, especially if it's in like the Sun, Moon. You guys like to take people and kind of like tuck them away for yourself. What I mean by that is like they have to be about you. They have to ride for you. They have to be loyal, like yada yada yada. And yes, like those are important things, but I see you guys asking for that so quickly and wanting someone to dive 10 feet with you when they barely know you. Like that kind of becomes your detriment. That kind of becomes the reason why people don't want to commit. It's kind of like it scares people sometimes, and I feel like Scorpio, you're really going to be dealing with that type of intensity that you have the first week. I think you're going to be kind of, working through that, asking yourself like, when is it the right time for when is it like the right time for me to sort of ask this of somebody? But I also see you guys, a lot of you guys saying, like, fuck it, I'm going to find someone who matches my intensity, which I feel like is really important here. Exchange of power. Finding someone who, is reciprocative of whatever it is you put out, I think is important. I think that is just going to be something you work through the first week. I don't see this Ten of Swords as new betrayals. I kind of see it as like accepting betrayal, Scorpio, which I feel like a lot of you guys still have wounds from. You guys still have wounds from old betrayals that kind of like affect you now and sort of like have hindered you in making new relationships, hindered you in getting close with people again. So I feel like you're going to be working through that wound the first week, Scorpio. And I see that Six of Pentacles and that exchange of power also being an exchange of trust and an exchange of loyalty. I feel like, Scorpio, you can overextend your loyalty but not extend your trust out enough. Does that make sense? Like, you guys can be very, very loyal to people, but you also aren't as trusting as, like, you want to be or you wish you could be. So I feel like you guys really working through those themes. That's what's going to happen for you that first week. You're going to be working through those themes. The second week is so interesting because we have our King of Pentacles in reverse here, which I like to think is a Taurus card, and then we have our Eight of Pentacles upright. So it's kind of like, Scorpio, you have all the work ethic, you know, you have the work ethic, you have the drive, you have the energy to do whatever it is that you want, but what is the big idea? What is this all leading to at the end of the day? I feel like that's what we need to figure out, Scorpio. It's kind of like you have this, you know, it's kind of like that patience and planning card where it's like you have this idea but plan for the next 2 years. You know what I mean? Have that bigger goal set up here, because I like to think of the King of Pentacles as kind of like that Wolf of Wall Street card, having the smarts. So I also see that some of you guys might not have like the proper knowledge or the proper like legal knowledge or whatever it is when it comes to whatever it is you're doing financially. So I feel like it's important, Scorpio, that you guys maybe make some friends, maybe find some people who are very educated in like especially the field of money and finances. I feel like it's important that you guys sort of like handle that aspect of whatever it is you're doing. I'm mainly talking to small business owners here because I feel like a lot of you might be. Like I said, you know, make sure that you are filing your taxes and things are legal and all that kind of stuff. I also see this as like, Scorpio, kind of like not knowing what they're working towards. But like I said, you're going to figure that out. You're going to figure that out. But I think second week is when you do. I also can see this as like working alone is not the answer, because like Eight of Pentacles is this man he's working alone, and then King of Pentacles is in reverse, so it's kind of like working alone is not what's going to lead you to the big goal here, the big dream, the bigger picture. You kind of need to accept help, Scorpio. That's what I see this as, is like accept help from other people. Like I said, take the business advice, work with the other person that you're hesitant on working on, which I feel like you're hesitant on working on because Scorpio is hesitant on trusting. And you guys are people who like to work alone because you like to work diligently and you like to get things done right. Find people who work like that, all right, and work with them. Just be smart about who you choose. But I see a message with like that second week is like of like working alone is not the answer. You need to make connections. Third week we have the Five of Cups with Temperance. Funny because Cancer pulled this as well, and I'm picking up on similar energy where it's like, you know, Five of Cups is a card of remorse, the card of kind of like looking back on the cups that have spilled, and I don't think these are new cups. What I was picking up on with Cancer and what I'm picking up on with you, Scorpio, is that there is something that doesn't sit right with you. There was an ending that doesn't sit right with you, that you want to kind of like go back and rearrange those spilled cups and make it pretty so then we can close that door and be done with it. I kind of feel like it's that. It's kind of like we can't fully lay the situation to rest because the way it ended was not how we wanted it to end. So I don't, you know, I wouldn't take this as a sign to like go back up and like hit up that ex or hit up that old situation, because I don't think this is the time to resurface any old news, old dramas. No. I think what you have to work on, Scorpio, is breaking that spiritual bond that you have to that situation, breaking that spiritual bond that you have to that person. And that's what I think the Temperance card is here to kind of like remind you to do, is like, you know, it's like you can close that door all you want, Scorpio, but if you don't handle if you don't lay that situation to rest internally, like, it's always going to come back to haunt you. So lay it to rest internally, deal with the emotions, regulate those emotions, and sort of elevate from it. You know what I mean? Change your perspective on it, learn from it, get wiser from it, sort of like get an kind of like make your peace with it, your own internal peace with it. I feel like there's a lot of situations Scorpio has yet to make peace with. Ten of Cups with the Seven of Rods in reverse. All right, this is the 4th week. I feel like, Scorpio, this is telling you guys to soften up. I feel like you guys are, you know, can always be on the defense sometimes. And I feel like this card is like telling you, like, Scorpio, you are not the underdog anymore. So you don't have to be in this defensive state. You actually should be in a leadership state. I see you guys, Scorpio, as one of the few signs that's kind of prepared for all of the changes and energies going on in the world right now, because you guys are so adaptable and easily accept, you know, endings and new beginnings. So I feel like it's time for Scorpio to sort of like almost set an example for the people around you. Like I said, you guys aren't on the defense anymore. You're not the underdog anymore. There's almost like, I kind of think of like the 6 of Rods card, where it's kind of like, this is your moment almost, Scorpio, and you don't want to taint that or ruin that with all of this like old lingering wounds, all of this like old drama, all this like, you know, your old ways of thinking, the ways you used to hold yourself back. It's time to not do that, Scorpio. It's time to sort of like level up and start to step into your power, because Scorpio, when it's manifested in you know, positive ways, is such an impactful ass energy. And you guys can really like make shit happen for yourself if you would only handle the mental game of that and the mental aspect of that. Kind of like make where you're at mentally match where you're actually at in life physically, which I feel like a lot of you guys are in an okay place with that 10 of Cups. But yeah, let's go ahead and pull some Moonology for confirmation. Give it a bit of like a shuffle. Just a wee bit shuffle. Alright, confirmation for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. Confirmation, I want it to fall. Confirmation for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. There we go. Alright. So, here are your confirmations. First one we have is luck is on your side. New Moon in Sagittarius, which I love for you guys. I am feeling like I don't think this is a bad month for Scorpio, even though it's like the spread was a little, it kind of talks a bit about the darker sides of this month, but I don't feel like it's a bad month. I feel like it's a month of letting go. I feel like it's a month of almost like finally releasing like your fears, your anxieties, your wounds. It's like we're finally kind of like growing past that. So I like that we have luck is on your side. New romantic cycle begins. New moon in Libra. I'm not surprised when you guys, especially you guys, saw that 8th house transit. So for the risings at least. But I feel like a new romantic cycle might begin for Scorpio. Especially since we just have Venus retrograde. I feel like a lot of people are going to be drawn to you and your willingness to dive into relationships, which is why you guys have to work on your dynamic within relationships the first week. Conclusions are within reach. Full moon eclipse, and I feel like that is confirming our 3rd week, and you guys sort of, you know, laying to rest that situation. Like I said, conclusions, like endings. Remember how I was saying that I feel like the 3rd week we didn't like how something ended spiritually? I feel like you guys finally end it in the right way. Surrender to the Divine, one of my favorite cards. I feel like this is confirming you guys being tested. And I see this as sort of like, how do I see this? Let me channel this message, because I had it in my head and then I just lost it. Surrender to the Divine. I feel like you guys finally release whatever it is you need to release, pay your dues, or do whatever it is necessary to actually get on the path you're supposed to be on. That's what I see with the Surrender to the Divine card. I see you guys kind of like solidifying that path. Last card we have here is a win-win outcome as forecast, full moon in Libra. I feel like this is a confirmation again for that 1st week, and you guys laying to rest whatever it is you need to lay to rest in a peaceful way. I feel like that provides a win-win outcome for everyone involved. Okay? I feel like, again, we have the scales, so so much Libra energy. We have Libra energy 3 times in your chart, so I feel like you guys are going to be dealing with romance and relationships a lot this month. And I feel like you guys are going to be dealing on what you accept as well. I feel like sometimes Scorpio can sort of stay in relationships or kind of like deal with like BS within relationships in the name of loyalty. And I feel like you guys are really going to learn not to do that anymore. Kind of like, again, kind of like Cancer energy, where it's like you guys learn how to finally stand up for yourself. And I feel like you guys like learn balance and harmony within relationships. Like, you learn what that means to you and what you need in order to get that. So let's go ahead and pull from the Baby Tarot deck to see what it is Venus is going to gift you with this month. What is Venus going to gift Scorpio with this month? Justice. And for this, I'm not reading it in reverse. I am reading all the cards upright. I didn't even realize that I dealt it in reverse on accident. So all these cards were in reverse, so that's why I came out in reverse, by the way. But I love that this Justice card came out because, again, we were talking a lot about all this Libra energy. And I feel like this is the gift of, like, a wrong being made right. That's, like, what immediately popped up in my head with this Justice card. Like, whatever it is that wronged you, or if you did wrong, you make peace with that, you get justice for it, and that frees you, Scorpio. That frees you from this situation that kind of like keeps you stuck in your past. Which is like, it's giving me a lot of chills as I say that. But I see you guys, give me a second to channel this. I just pick up on the word freedom. Like, you guys getting justice from this frees the hell out of you. And it's kind of like this injustice is what was sitting, is what wasn't sitting right with you. And it's held you back mentally and emotionally, and especially in relationships, it's held you back, and you finally get the justice on that, and you finally get to heal from that. It's kind of like the chains are broken. That's how I see it. Alright, Scorpio, so that was it for your reading. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Twitter for more astrology and tarot content. The next time you guys see me, I'm probably going to be posting my monthly love reading, so hit that bell button so you know when I post readings on YouTube. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.